So let's talk a little bit about the department that's most misunderstood in your business. Now, I'm not talking about legal. I'm not even talking about finance. I could be talking about that AI team you just stood up last week. Nope. I'm talking about the team that speaks to your customers nearly every day, and that's your contact center. This is where your brand comes to life. Now, there's still executives out there who refer to the contact center as the complaint department. We're here to change that. Once again, welcome to this week's edition of Confessions of a CX Executive. This is where I talk about things that your HR department said not to put into writing. Anyway, my name's JP, and I've spent the last 20 plus years leading large customer experience teams with some brands that you're probably familiar with. That's billions of dollars in revenue, millions of customer interaction, and thousands of agents. I've led sales and retention teams that not only acquire customers, but saved entire business lines. So today, we're going to unpack a department that speaks to your customers every day, drives your business impact, yet somehow gets treated like the kids' table at Thanksgiving. Now, with AI everywhere, it's a popular notion out there that the contact center is dead. It's not dead. Spoiler alert. It's alive and well. And it's evolving. It's evolving pretty fast, quite honestly. It is the one area that captures many of your customer interactions, which means you get a front seat to customer friction, but you also get a front seat to those opportunities that can transform the business in terms of customer loyalty and revenue. So if you're treating your contact centers as an afterthought or necessary evil, then today's discussion is definitely for you. So come with me in this journey and we'll see how to turn your contact center into a profit center. So question one, what's the most common misconceptions that founders and executives have about their contact centers? Well, that's simple, that contact centers are simply places where we fix problems. Well, I'm here to tell you, if that's your thought, you're missing a great opportunity. Actually, contact centers are there to reinforce loyalty in addition to solving problems and generating revenue for the business. They are your proactive retention tool. So if you're not using them in this way, there's a lost opportunity that's going on here. One of my former companies was using the contact centers as just a reactionary tool. Essentially, solve the problem, get the customer off the phone, and move to the new one. So we taught our agents to listen for clues, those buying signals that customers gave us, as well as those recurring issues of which customers could resolve on their own through self-service. By having these sort of interactions and building trust and reinforcing the value of the brand, we were able to improve our disconnect performance by over 200 basis points. So what we did is we drove value in the business, which translated into customer loyalty, which translated into revenue, which translated into a profit center. So if you're not using your contact centers in this way and only using them to put out fires, well, guess what? You're losing a great opportunity to engage with your customers and truly differentiate yourselves from your competitors. So what's the truth about outsourcing? Does it work? Will it backfire? Listen, I've led teams, both captive sites internally as well as outsourced teams. I don't think there's necessarily a one-size-fits-all approach, but I will say with regards to our BPO partners, it's how you leverage that relationship is what matters. See, if you treat your vendors as a vendor, you get vendor level performance. In other words, if you say, you work for me, I have all the answers, well, guess what? Those teams are going to wait for direction from you. But if you show those teams how they're an extension of your business, how they help you control your ecosystem from a customer experience perspective, and you partner with these teams, and that's all the things that you involve them with, decision-making, scripting, all of those different things where they can be successful, that's ultimately going to help you and your customers. So unless they're an extension of you and unless they buy into that mission, you're just going to get whatever's in that statement of work. And we all know how that goes, right? Here's the rub. If you treat your BPO partners as a partner, you're going to get better results than if you treated them like a vendor. Because here's the thing, they become an extension of your brand to customers. It allows you to effectively control your ecosystem. So it is critical that you bring those teams into the fold and explain to them the why of your methodology, make sure they're trained, and more importantly, drive that consistent experience. Now, what's proof positive of that? Well, I've implemented pay for performance programs where my BPO partners have outperformed internal sites. And you heard that correct. That's a direct result of driving the right type of partnership and continuing to ensure that those partners had skin in the game and understood at the end of the day, they win, we win, and we all continue to elevate the customer experience. So again, it's really not about whether it's a BPO partner or not. It's really about how you manage that relationship. You see where I'm going here? The customer experience begins internally as well. Do customers really hate bots? I mean, quite honestly, do they work? Listen, customers don't hate bots. Customers hate bad bots. At the end of the day, we just want our issues resolved. But if we have a bot that makes us tell our story over and over again, traps us in some sort of digital purgatory, or worse, fakes empathy, then that's not a great experience for any of us. And at the end of the day, customers, they just want their issues resolved. And if that means that it's a phone call, a chat, or it's some sort of automated or self-service, well, that's what matters at the end of the day. Because here's the rub. Customers just want their issues resolved. So layer in AI to solve those simple issues and leave the complex issues to humans where you can. And if a customer wants a self-service, always have an option to elevate to a human. Again, the goal here is not to force them to engage with technology. The goal is to meet the customer where they are and let that dictate the type of experience that they want in that particular context. In my previous life, in addition to rolling out a bot, we also implemented a click to call button. In other words, we gave the customer a human off ramp when they decided that they no longer wanted to engage with technology or the automated system. And again, this is the type of thing that will improve your CSAT by 15%, which is what we saw when you provided customers with those options. It's simply a matter of meeting the customer where they are. So what's your take on scripts in a contact center? Oh boy. Okay, so let me unpack this real quick. A script is nothing more or should be used simply as a guideline. Here are the guardrails and the key points and highlights that we need to cover with our customers, more like a flow. Because guess what? Customers can smell fake empathy a mile away. So it's critical that you allow your team to have that flexibility to take care of the customer within the parameters that you prescribe. Again, your best agents are not scripted, but they're trained. And once they earn that flexibility to resolve the customer's issue the way it needs to be done within the guardrails that you set, and guess what? Not only do you begin to train your customers on what's expected, but your teams get better and they have the latitude to resolve customer issues. Again, the things that make it easier for your teams to do business are going to make it easy for your customers to do business. Giving your teams that flexibility to understand what is needed to resolve the customer concerns within particular guardrails, well, that's gold right there. And that's the type of culture that you want to build. See, the important thing there is that when you give them that flexibility, strange things happen, like your first call resolution goes up, your customer escalations come down, your revenues increase, and oh, by the way, much better employee experience. Who knew? So what's a small change that an executive or founder can make at the point of sale to improve the customer experience? This stuff isn't rocket science. It just takes a little bit of commitment. So the first thing is you got to listen to those phone calls. You got to read those chats. You've got to observe customer interactions as they occur. See, we're not talking about surveys where you tend to get skewed responses. Customers will either love you a lot or hate you. So don't just listen to the bad stuff and don't just listen to the good stuff. Listen to the typical experience that happens. Where are customers hesitating? Where are your agents getting stuck? And then more importantly, think about, do your processes allow your promise to come alive? Because at the end of the day, by having that level of observation and watching your ecosystem unfold in front of you, you'll get so much insight as to what's actually working in your business. So what do you do after these observations? You fix what's fixable. Find that one problem per week and empower your frontline teams to tackle it. Yeah, you heard me. Don't try to solve the problem necessarily from the top down. Do it from a bottoms up perspective. Why? Because that's going to be worth its weight in gold. That gets your team empowered. That gets them working on solutions that directly impact their experience. And by doing that, they can directly impact the customer's experience. This is worth more than that pizza party or that ping pong table or whatever heck we have on the wall as a mission statement. Get your teams involved, work on problems that are fixable, and start small. These are real world issues that can have a huge impact on driving the ultimate customer experience. So here's the truth. Your contact center is a gold mine. This is where we have all the interactions with the customers. We know the good, the bad, and the ugly. We understand where sales, marketing, product, service delivery, all of these things coalesce in that one little team called the contact center. So we need to lean in and leverage it. Your contact center is either building trust with your customers or eroding it. There's simply no in between. In a world where AI is rapidly changing everything that we do, your people still make a difference. And more importantly, your people in the contact center are going to be your secret weapon to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Lean into that. If you want to stop treating your contact center as a cost center and unlock customer loyalty, higher levels of employee satisfaction, and most importantly, improve your bottom line, then let's have a conversation. Most importantly, drop me a comment and talk about some of the headwinds that you've encountered in your contact center. I'm here to help. Once again, my name is JP Dumas, and this has been this week's edition of Confessions of a CX Executive, Contact Center Edition. All right, we'll talk soon.